Now we bring you information about the U.S. immigration police who arrested a Brazilian identified as a former leader of the PCC and the Comando Vermelho.
You have to fly.
Gotta fly.
In a cinematic operation that involved a car chase and a foot pursuit, U.S. security forces arrested Felipe de L'Aquila, also known as Dom. Identified as a former member of both the PCC and the Comando Vermelho, he was illegally on American soil and had an international arrest warrant issued by Brazil, even appearing on Interpol's list. The operation took place in Mooresville, North Carolina, when Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents intercepted his vehicle. During the attempted escape, de L'Aquila crashed into cars stopped in traffic, abandoned the vehicle and tried to flee on foot, but was captured shortly after. The search of the vehicle revealed cell phones, laptops, cash, and a 9mm caliber pistol. In her statement, his wife confirmed that she was being held against her will inside the car while the criminal was planning to flee to Mexico. The episode showed that the Shield of the Americas also operates within the United States, setting an example for the other countries that are also part of the military coalition. The arrest of another fugitive criminal from Brazil shows that the country's borders remain the Achilles heel in the fight against crime, which could be a reason for the Southern Command to launch a major operation on national soil. Welcome to life in the barracks.
Sorry, I missed that.
The United States Department of Homeland Security increased the tracking of Brazilian fugitives after members of the PCC and Comando Vermelho were added to the list of narco-terrorists. This classification raised the threat level of these criminals and intensified international cooperation. Although some Brazilian authorities do not recognize de L'Aquila as a member of the factions, financial investigations confirmed that he received funds from these organizations. The arrest of de L'Aquila exposed the fragility of Brazil's borders, as criminals are able to leave the country even without standing arrest warrants. This fact reveals the urgent need to strengthen the control of people and illegal goods entering and leaving the country. The pressure from Donald Trump's government to crack down on Brazilian gangs shows that there is a real possibility of actions taking place inside Brazil, whether through direct attacks on trafficking structures or by supporting the police in targeted operations. The progress of the Shield of the Americas has already shown significant results even within the United States. Bombings of criminal structures and the neutralization of narco-terrorists have been taking place in areas near the Brazilian border, which could escalate to direct attacks on the PCC and Comando Vermelho at any moment. Amphibious troop landing drills conducted by the Southern Command have put the current Brazilian president on alert due to the possibility of military incursions occurring on the Brazilian coast. Brazilian state police forces have also intensified their operations in support of the continent-wide effort.
From the faction, the Red Command, now reinforced with members from all over Brazil, practically there. At the same time, it shows there is BOA.
In Rio de Janeiro, a major operation was carried out in the Marais complex. Meanwhile, in São Paulo, the police launched a major operation to execute more than 500 search and seizure warrants. These actions show that even without the formal signing of the Shield of the Americas, some states have contributed to cracking down on organized crime. The truth is that the Planalto Palace is missing a great opportunity to create a national coalition to combat crime. Before creating,
Damn, that's the son of a bitch!
Even without signing the Shield of the Americas, Brazil could make its contribution, since crime is a problem that plagues the entire territory. It's no use for state and federal police to struggle on their own if there isn't a collective agreement to coordinate their actions. A national pact could involve the Public Prosecutor's Office, courts, police, armed forces, Federal Revenue Service, and other agencies capable of mitigating the tentacles of crime. This integration would be able to create a solid front against factions that currently operate on an international scale. Without this coalition on a federal scale, Brazil will remain vulnerable, leaving the isolated efforts of the police insufficient in the face of the complexity of the problem. The arrest of a Brazilian fugitive on American soil shows that the fight against organized crime cannot be limited to national borders. International cooperation is essential, but Brazil needs to take the lead and strengthen its institutions.
We need to be able to face this reality that the operation has laid bare for us. So today we have
the absence of a clear strategy, where the police carry out a major operation to arrest criminals and then see the courts release them, only reinforces the perception of weakness and opens the door to external pressures. The future of national security will depend on Brazil's ability to balance domestic politics and global strategic interests. If after decades of confrontation nothing has changed, it's a sign that the fight against organized crime in Brazil, as it is currently conducted, has proven insufficient to contain the advance of criminality. Today, more than 60 million Brazilians live in areas dominated by factions, which highlights the structural failure of security policies. The reality of a population cornered and held hostage by a system that cannot provide effective protection. It shows that integrating the police with the armed forces could, at the very least, contain the advance of violence and return control of territories to the state. Furthermore, being willing to contribute to the Shield of the Americas makes more sense than trying to face it alone. An evil that has been spreading throughout the country for more than 50 years, even co-opting public agents to act as arms of crime, in a kind of institutional shielding. The capabilities of the U.S. Southern Command, combined with the Brazilian armed forces and police, could represent a turning point in the fight against organized crime within the country. Washington is offering the opportunity to provide virtually unlimited resources for this fight, including technology, intelligence, and logistical support, which would significantly increase the country's response capability. However, the Brazilian president insists on an almost desperate plan to try to convince Donald Trump to reverse the classification of the factions as narco-terrorists. This stance ends up weakening Brazil on the world stage, reducing the confidence of international investors and causing capital to flee to other countries, precisely at a time when security and stability should be strategic priorities. Leave your comments below on why the current president of Brazil doesn't take advantage of this international support to fight crime in the country. Here at Life in the Barracks, you stay up to date with everything happening in the military world. Leave your like, subscribe, and watch one of the videos appearing on your screen. Forward, fighters! See you next time.